Hi guys, it's FPL Fred here, and I'm about to take you through Game Week 3. So our first star player of the week goes to Bruno Fernandes with 12 points. Bruno looked really lucky to be getting those 12 points, seeing as he really didn't offer much throughout the whole game, and he was mainly getting back trying to defend against Brighton's pushes early on, but towards the end when he gets the penalties, that's what you're paying for. Just like the same with Jamie Vardy. If you're paying 10.5 million for a player, you're paying for penalties as well as their open play returns, and he got an assist and a goal this match. So, you know, with the assist, it was basically just playing it to Rashford in his own third, and then watching Rashford run like basically the entire way of the pitch. And that's what you can get with Bruno. He just starts the plays off, and that counts as an assist in FPL, so there's not much more you can say about that. My underperformer in this match is definitely Martial. Martial didn't look bad, it's just that he didn't get any service, and his XG of the game was 0.06, which tells you everything you need to know about how many chances he got and how many chances he created. So without much service, Martial just looks like he's going to be another player just hanging around on the pitch, not really offering much. So I think Martial thrives at home, and away from home he just looks really out of place, and I think that's when you're going to really want Martial, for those home games. So if Man United have got any easy good games going up at home, I really think Martial is a player to put into your FPL team, but away from home, Martial just doesn't seem to do it. And the eye test is obviously Trossard. You know, Trossard hit the bar 3 times. Whether he should have scored all of them or if it was just pure chance and unluckiness that prevented him from getting any goal this game, it's just, you know, I can't tell. But Trossard looked really like he's going to be playing well this season, and he's passed the eye test for me this game, and he's only 6 million as well. So against maybe some teams that are not as lucky as Man United, you're definitely going to get some points there. And then we move on to the second game of the game week, which is Crystal Palace versus Everton. I think this was the biggest challenge of Everton's season so far, with Tottenham offering absolutely zero in the first match, looking like they're trying to get their team back together. And then with West Brom with like 10 players and then without a coach, you know, there was always going to be a rout there. But this was the first biggest challenge for Everton. The star player of this game goes to Richarlison, and he got 8 points. It was a very low scoring game, seeing as that both defences conceded, as well as there not being any runaway goals. But with Richarlison being on pens now, there's definitely a reason why he should be star player, seeing as, you know, all the rest of the pens that have happened this week. So you really should consider him as being 8 million. He's a good Dominic Calvert-Lewin alternative if you think Dom isn't going to be able to keep up this form, as lots of people on the Twitter sphere do not think that right now. And there seems to be this, you know, this hangover from last season where the last 6 games Dominic got absolutely nothing in the end and really put a lot of managers off, and being 7 million as well. It's just around that price point where you could spend that extra 1.5 to go up to Danny Ings, or spend the 1 million to go to Richarlison. But Richarlison looks like a really great alternative, especially now that he's on pens, so he definitely should be considered. The underperformer of this match was Zaha. He looked like he was quite dangerous, especially in the first half, but second half, especially when Eze went off, Crystal Palace started falling flat a bit, and nothing much really happened in the second half because of the lack of threat from Crystal Palace, and they just looked like that Everton was soaking up all the pressure, and Eze got taken off, and so there's no real creative threat there. And that shows in his stats, with the XG being about 0.13, I believe, and the XA being 0.00. So there wasn't really much going from him, and he's still in the dream team, I think, at this point. But with his good fixtures coming up, I definitely don't think it's a sell. There's definitely some players there that you need to be taking out before him, because when he's on form, you want to have him in the team, especially against the lower teams that he's playing, because he's got a good run of fixtures coming up. So I definitely want to take him out over some other players that we will discuss later on in this. Moving on to the eye test, we have James Rodriguez, who looked again like he's just going to be playing those through balls, those over-the-top balls, just assisting the assisters sometimes, but going to be racking up the bonus points for Everton. It seems that everything is coming through him right now, and that's not going to change anytime soon. If he were to get injured, I think Everton assets should drop in price because of basically how much they are reliant on him creating those chances right now. And without him, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is definitely not worth the price tag that he is right now. I think it's like 7.4. So James Rodriguez, the eye test passes it absolutely superbly. If he goes down injured or ill or anything like that, I say avoid Everton assets in the future. I think that's just a fact at this point. Moving on to the third game of the week, we have West Brom v Chelsea, which ended as a 3-3 thriller. The star player of this match was Callum Robinson with those 2 early goals. He looked like he took them really well. He capitalised on Thiago Silva's mistake, and he was able to take the second goal very well. The way that he was able to take the ball to corner of the box and finish in the bottom right hand corner past Caballero was really special. He's currently 5.5 mil, owned by around about 0.5% of the team, so looking like a major differential. Whether it's a instant buy is definitely not what I was thinking right now. If he's a target maybe for weaker teams, possibly, but still, I don't think this match really proves anything. The underperformer of this match goes to Timo Werner, who looked like a left wing back for a striker, and that's not what you want with a 9.5 mil, him playing left wing back. I don't know if it was just because of the formation. Eventually, in the first half, obviously Chelsea were completely over the place. They offered absolutely nothing. Werner offered absolutely nothing. And then when they brought on the three strikers of him, Tammy and Giroud, it all just got a bit mixed up. And they could have won that game, I think, if they'd have, just kept playing regular football. I think they didn't need to make those changes to get back into the game. They looked like they were going to do it anyway. But bringing on that extra forward shoved Werner out, and with that sort of man management from Lampard, you just don't know if he's just going to be in the team next week or not, if he's just going to bring him off, because he did it with Pulisic and he brought him off for a while and then started playing him off the bench. And whether he's going to do it with Werner, I have no idea. I doubt it, but again, it's just one to watch. And then we go to the eye test. So the eye test of this game was Mason Mount, who scored a goal and looked really dangerous. And whether he's going to be able to recreate that same attacking output once Pulisic comes back in, because he seems like the focal point of the team, is unknown. But right now, Mount looks like he's sort of the core of the team and the core of that midfield. So, well, his price as well, I think it's like quite a good buy at this point if Chelsea can regain some form somewhere. The next match of this game week was Burnley versus Southampton, which resulted in an away win for Southampton, 1-0, which was very surprising, and again, another controversial game. The star player this game week, as will most likely be with Southampton victories every single game week, was of course Danny Ings. He's just Mr. Consistent at this point, and for 8.5 million, which again put a lot of people off at the start of the season, raising up from his 7 million price tag that he had at the start of last season. It does look like he's just going to again recreate that form, and a lot of people didn't think he could do it. They thought he was just going to get injured again at some point. It was only a matter of time, but he really looks like he's recreated that form, and with West Brom coming up, he looks like he's going to be potentially even a captain option in that game. The underperformer this game week was Dwight McNeil, and he's rightly named underperformer, as in he didn't have a bad game, but if Dwight McNeil has a game where he's not creating as much as he normally do, Burnley just looks a bit dead. He looks like he's going to be the player that gains the most points for the team, because he's going to have to be working on that left wing seriously hard, because there doesn't seem like there's going to be any other creative output coming from the team. So with him having a bad performance, it just means that Burnley are going to have a bad performance, and with Chris Wood missing all those other opportunities as well, they're just going to need that creative spark that's going to be able to pull something out of nowhere, and if Dwight McNeil doesn't do that, I'm not sure there's anybody else in the team that can. And the eye test goes to Che Adams, which, Che Adams in the YouTube Twitter sphere is quite a heavily owned asset in terms of people who have accounts on FPL Twitter. You can see that everybody else has got the same idea, but in real terms, he has around about 2.4% ownership. So right now, though, he looks really good. He looks like he's creating a lot. I think he got an assist this game, so he got five points in this game. He's created a lot of big chances, and he's missed a couple as well, but he looks like he's just going to keep starting there. And if Southampton can properly utilise him, or if he can get his scoring boots on and work and link up with Danny Ings a lot more, he looks like he's going to be a really good asset, especially occupying that cheaper forward role that everyone might be looking for right now to spread the funds across the midfield. And then we move on to the Yorkshire Derby, which was Sheffield United 0, Leeds United 1. The star player this game week was Meslier by an absolute mile. He kept Leeds United in the game, pulling off some absolutely magnificent saves, especially one from close range from John Lundstrom. That was the only way that Leeds were getting points out of that game, was if he was on fire. Sheffield United's attack looked really, really blunted, but with every single shot that came his way, he was able to handle it really well and push it out and keep away the dangers. So what an absolute star performance it was from him this game week, and thoroughly deserved all 3 bonus points. The underperformer this game was Oliver Burke. There's probably a lot more that you can mention with John Lundstrom missing that really easy chance, but the reason why I've selected Oliver Burke is because he's a 4.5 mid, which means that people are going to get him in because that's the cheapest you can go on the midfield. So you can consider Burke, but whether he's going to keep playing that out of position forward, he certainly does look out of position, because the way that he was, there was a one moment in the game that he took on quite a couple of players and then absolutely blasted it over the bar. You think that's not really a striker there. So if he's going to be able to continue playing that, I don't know. Ryan Brewster's rumoured to be signing for Sheffield United coming through the deadline days, so he might look like a better 4.5 million asset, but we'll have to wait and see. But right now, Oliver Burke really underperformed that match, especially as he's a starting 4.5 forward. And then we have the eye test of this game, which was Patrick Bamford. Obviously, he was more nearly a star player at this point because he got the goal. But the eye test is just trying to show that actually there's lots of doubts that whether he could do it in the Premier League, doubts that he would be able to recreate the form that he had in the Championship, and if he was going to be the next Pukki, basically, of last season, hopefully with a bit more consistency towards the end of this season. So we'll have to wait and see. But in this game, he just looked like he was just creating all the big chances. The goal he scored was really well taken, and there was no chance that was being saved at all. So he looks like he's going to be a safe, consistent bet, especially at 5.7 or 5.8 million. Not too sure right now, but he looks like he's a very good, cheap option. And with Leeds looking so attacking, it's looking like he's going to be a safe 5.7 buy. And we come to the next controversial game of the game week, which was Spurs 1, Newcastle 1. The star player of this game was Lucas Moura, who earned all 3 bonus points because of the first open play goal that he scored. Whether Lucas Moura is going to keep occupying that space or whether Bergwijn's going to come in at some point, it's all in Jose Mourinho's head. So recommend buying Lucas, probably not. He only scored 1 goal today, and it could have easily been another player. Son looked like he was really close to scoring, like 2 or 3 times again, just off the woodwork. So whether I would invest the money in Moura over Son is probably not the case. I think Son is definitely the easier buy, especially for the extra cash. He's definitely worth it at this point, but he's injured, so we're going to have to wait maybe after the international break to see what's going on with him. The underperformer in this game is Doherty. Again, it's more of an underperformer. He doesn't offer that many attacking opportunities as he did at Wolves. He does look like he's a bit of a goal threat, but with Wolves he looked a bit more solid. I don't know if it's just still trying to get into the team or whether he's going to play a different role at Spurs now than he did at Wolves. So you're going to have to see. But with the 6 million and the amount of returns you might get on him, right now I really wouldn't invest in Spurs because the defence looks a bit shaky. And then we have the eye test, which is Karl Darlow, one of the coined by Always Cheating, the most expensive keeper in FPL because of his 5 million price tag, and he's like a second choice keeper at Newcastle, which is mental. But he pulled off like a magnificent amount of saves today. And I think it was about 11 saves, and he just looked like he was keeping Newcastle, that he was going to single-handedly carry Newcastle to that final line. And with the penalty, you know, when they got that 1-1 in the end, it was because of Darlow really that they kept in the game. It could have just been a nothing penalty, but with Darlow offering all those saves, it was because of him that Newcastle were able to get a point out of that game. And again, controversy that whether the penalty should have been given or not won't really be covered on this, but it was him that really saved the point for Newcastle. And then we move on to the most mental game of the game week, which was Man City 2, Leicester 5. The star player of this game was Jamie Vardy with 2 penalties and a fantastically taken open play goal. He got his hat-trick, and it was absolutely magnificent to see that he's still doing it at this age. And again, everyone was questioning whether, you know, he would still be able to recreate the form that he's been showing recently, but he certainly is doing that. And with this hat-trick to his name and him being on penalties and Leicester looking really dangerous in the attack, the star player looks like he's definitely going to be a certain buy, especially for people in wild cards or taking out Timo Werner, who looks just miles below his level at this point. The underperformer of this game was Sterling, who's being played in the 9 position, seeing as Jesus and Aguero are out right now, and he did not look comfortable there. I don't know whether it was just Man City looking very uneasy about having no striker playing, or if they had to play a different formation, but they really didn't look like they were attacking as much as they used to. And with Sterling being in that 9 position and not being on the wing, I think he's going to need a bit of getting used to. And whether he's going to stay there or Delap is going to come in, because, you know, he looked like he was definitely a lot more attacking and a lot more well suited in that striker position than Sterling did, it's yet to be seen. So he's definitely underperformed, especially at that 11.5 million price tag. And then the eye test, it goes to Harvey Barnes, who again is looking like he's going to be Leicester's creative man in the midfield, especially on that wing. He's really attacking, he's really looking to get into that final third as much as possible. He looks like a big goal threat, setting up goals for other teammates. And at 7 million, he looks like a bit of a bargain right now, but with Leicester playing so well, he's reflected that, and at 7 million, maybe a potential Zaha replacement if he doesn't do so well, to free up funds, maybe going from Son to Barnes because of Son being out for a while. He looks like he's going to be a good buy, and a lot of people I think will get him this game week. And then we move on to the second most mental, in my opinion, game of this week, which was West Ham 4, Wolves 0. The star player this game week was Jarrod Bowen, who was able to finish off 2 opportunities, both created by Pablo Fornals in this game. He got lucky on the second one, obviously, for it to be his goal. But again, that's what you want your attackers to do. You want them to be there. You want them to be in a position that if it does come off the keeper or off the bar, you want them just to be able to slot it back in. And he scored a total of 15 points, which was absolutely superb. Whether West Ham or him are going to be able to recreate this throughout the season, God knows. I don't think so. I think, again, like I said before, West Ham is a patchy team and they aren't really going to get that far this season. I think this is just a bit of a fluke, and Wolves looked absolutely desperate. So whether you should invest in him or not, not sure about that right now. And the underperformer of this game was Raul Jimenez, who has a large percentage ownership due to Wolves fixtures looking so great, and this was again one of their great fixtures and they got absolutely battered. I was considering putting Semedo here because he looked absolutely exhausted after about 70 minutes and he had to be taken off, so he's considering putting him here. But with Raul Jimenez just not looking like he was going to score at all in that game, and with him you expect him to score every single game, especially against the lower league teams, and so I think just from that alone I think he definitely deserves the underperformer. And the eye test with Pablo Fornals, who looked completely different from last season. He looks like he's going to be in a lot more attacking position right now. And he again created both chances for Bowen. I was considering also putting Masuaku in here because he looks like a great fullback right now. He's put in some amazing crosses to the box, and especially that one that just landed on Hala's head. He had an absolutely superb game, but in terms of people getting in Masuaku right now with West Ham defence, not looking likely, especially Rice looking like he might potentially leave towards the end of this transfer window. And if he leaves the midfield, West Ham are going to have a lot harder challenge defending those clean sheets every single game. So a defender for West Ham, I think their money could definitely be spent elsewhere. However, Pablo Fornals, if they are just going to turn into a team who's just going to go all-out attack, maybe conceding a couple of back, Fornals look like he might be a good cheap option, especially as such a low-owned differential. And then we come to the second last game on the game week, which was Fulham 0 versus Aston Villa 1. The clean sheets roll on for Aston Villa. However, the star man of this game week was Conor Hourihane, who offered 1 assist and 1 goal, and who has returned quite well in these past couple of games. Whether Aston Villa are going to be able to recreate that attacking form against some more defensively sound teams is yet to be seen, but his score with 14 points is nothing to scoff at, and with such a low owned differential rate of 0.1%, especially earning you 14 points a game, you have to look at this man and it has to be on your watch list. If Villa can recreate some of that form that they had towards last season, or if they can hold out on the defensive record, I think he could be a potential buy in the future. The underperformer of the game was Ollie Watkins. He missed a lot of chances. He missed basically an open goal at one point, and it was a day to forget for Ollie. And I think with his $6 million price tag, again, there's just so many more better options around him right now. You're going to have to wait until he finds his shooting boots before you consider investing $6 million in him, but he's definitely one to watch, especially if Aston Villa continue the form, and if he can recreate any of his championship form, he's definitely going to be someone to look at. However, whether he can recreate it in the Premier League, again, is yet to be seen. And the eye test goes to Jack Grealish, who looks again like he's just going to be the focal point of Aston Villa like he has been for this past season. Whether he's just going to be able to recreate the form that he had, I think it was towards the middle of last season, is yet to be seen. Whether they're going to have the same creative output as last time, and whether he's going to be involved with the goals heavily, especially with the new attackers of Watkins as well, and whether Hourihane is going to be able to keep up the form to keep assisting them, is yet to be seen. But he's an eye test right now, and that's for good reason, and he looks like a really good one so far. And then we come to the final game, which had a little bit of controversy, which was Liverpool 3, Arsenal 1. The star player this game week, which is only based on points right now, I think, is Robertson, who earned 10 points as a defender. He was up fault for the first goal, which he allowed way too much space on, but made up for it again by just being in acres of space and being able to take advantage of that Willian placement and Bellerin placement of basically being absolutely nowhere and score the goal to get them back in it. And I think it was to take the lead, actually. So Robertson was the star player for good reason of him just being such a great attacking option right now. The underperformer of the game week was Aubameyang. Aubameyang is not a winger, and as many goals as he got last season, he could have got more if he started in Lacazette's position. And Lacazette again shows that he's just not as good as Aubameyang because he fluffed those 2 chances, which Aubameyang, who certainly would put them away. So again, with Aubameyang being on the wing, you're just not going to be able to see him perform very well, especially in these big games. I think in the big games he thrives being a striker, and Lacazette being a striker, he got a goal, but he could have easily been the underperformer based on how many chances he missed. But Aubameyang getting no returns, especially as he looked dangerous in pre-season against Liverpool, is very disappointing. And with a lot of people still owning Aubameyang in their team, it's going to be a hard sell to keep him in their teams right now. Then we go to the eye test, and TAA is back. He looked like he was back on form, got rid of all that rustiness and the injury that he picked up, and looks like he's just going to be flinging in balls to the back. And the third goal was, again, another fantastic ball into the box, which was headed away, so he didn't get the assist, but he looks like he's just going to be pumping those balls in every single time. So this, again, shows why TAA is a hold and a complete hold for the rest of the season. So that was my overview of the Game Week 3. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. I'm still trying to get into the flow, still trying to figure out how these game weeks are going to be set up, and if you like the new idea of the star player and the just highlights of the game, please let me know down below, and I'll continue to do that. Otherwise, I can add maybe a couple more stats or a couple more players you might want to be looking out for to completely avoid. Again, it's all just up in the air right now, so please let me know if you enjoyed it. Hit a like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.